What's up, friends? Welcome into another Movement Parallels live practice. My name is Kellen Mylad, and today I'm going to take you through a series of fun and challenging movements that are going to help you stretch, mobilize your joints, and strengthen your core, and hopefully it's all going to feel like play. We're going to be focusing on crawling patterns today, but before we get into that, let's take the first few minutes of the practice to check in. Start off by turning, tilting, and slowly rolling your head to stretch your neck. And as we work through these light movements, simply pay attention to the sensations that arise. Do they feel good or do they feel painful or restricted? Do you notice any big differences between the right and left sides? And as you move, breathe deeply. Notice if any of that pain or tension begins to dissipate, or if you begin to find more space within your body. As you're working with your neck, you might even use your hands to apply some gentle pressure to increase the stretch. Continue on for the next 15 seconds. Now stabilize yourself and sit tall. We'll move on next to some sweeping arm circles. Keep your shoulders back, core braced, and arms strong as you move through a full range of motion. And as you lift your arms overhead, be mindful that your rib cage doesn't flare open. Change directions whenever you'd like, just keep moving with smooth strength. Next, onto 30 seconds of a shoulder twist. Hold your arms out to the sides with your shoulders drawn down, arms energized, and palms facing the ceiling. Internally rotate one shoulder so that your palm flips all the way over. Actively reach your arms out away from your body to amplify the stretch, then untwist and switch sides. Those last two movements do a great job to activate and bring some heat into the shoulders. Now take the next 30 seconds to relax. Gently roll your shoulders and breathe deeply. Next, we'll move on to 30 seconds of scapular push-ups to get those shoulder blades gliding. Set your hands slightly wider than shoulder width. Keep your arms straight as you drop in, drawing your shoulder blades together. Then actively push the ground away, spreading your shoulder blades across your back. You can perform this movement from hands and knees or from a plank. Next, we'll perform 2 drills to mobilize our hands and wrists. We'll start with the backhand stretch. Press the backs of your hands into the floor with enough pressure to create a stretch that feels good for your body. Add movement by pressing up to your knuckles or rocking side to side. Next, we'll go on to palm lifts. Place your hands flat on the ground, then lift your palms, pressing your fingertips down to create the stretch. You might also like this open palm stretch. Flip your palms to face forward, hug your elbows inward, and allow them to bend to deepen the stretch. Now that we've gotten in a few minutes to warm up and check in, let's move on with the practice. Set up on your hands and knees, and next we'll work 30 seconds of spinal articulation. Breathe deeply while you flex and extend your spine, maybe also adding in some gentle forward and backward rocking. Stabilize the position, and next we'll work through alternating rotation reaches. Keep one hand grounded as you sweep the other arm through a full range of motion. Keep your core braced, your spine elongated, and breathe through the movement, inhaling as you reach the arm up, exhaling as you sweep the arm back. Plant both hands and return to another 30 seconds of spinal movements. Once again, be intentional about breathing deeply and feeling the movements from the inside out, allowing your spine to move like water. Stabilize your spine and get one more cycle of alternating rotation reaches. As you reach, let your gaze follow your hand and use the strength of your back to open your chest. Next, we'll move on in our practice to kneeling and half kneeling work. Set yourself up in a comfortable low kneeling position and we'll begin with alternating rotation reaches. Rotate through your shoulders, plant your same side arm on the ground, and reach your free arm across your body, elongating into the stretch. Breathe with the movement, exhaling through the reach, inhaling through the transition. Now come back to center and step out into a half kneeling stretch. Take a moment to set up the position, legs at 90 degrees, pelvis tucked, back foot pressing down into the floor and back glute engaged. From this active position, add stretch by gliding forward, pushing your front knee over your toes. As you shift forward, stay tall, but don't allow your rib cage to flare. Now step back and switch sides. Set up the half kneeling position and then add movement. We'll hang out here for 30 seconds. Let's go through those movements for another cycle. Step back to kneeling and return to rotation reaches. Step out to half kneeling, set up the position, and begin gliding forward and back. Switch sides in your half kneeling position and mobilize for 30 seconds. All right, that's time. Now let's move on in the practice. Next up, we've got some starter progressions from the foot hand crawl and inverted crawl positions. Start off in a base foot hand crawl position, arms locked out, spine long and knees hovering low to the ground. Begin with a smooth alternating shoulder tap. Now flip over to your inverted crawl position. Keep your arms locked out, fingers pointing out sideways and the soles of your feet flat on the floor. Keep your shoulders drawn down, your neck long, and your core braced, and begin lifting and lowering your hips. Flip back over to the foot hand crawl position and we'll continue on with this opposite hand foot march for 30 seconds. Rotate back to the inverted crawl position for another round of hip lifts. That's time. Now let's move on with the practice. Flip back over to the foot hand crawl position and we'll expand on things by branching out into locomotion. Crawl around your space for the next 30 seconds. Focus on maintaining deep, relaxed breathing and taking steps with your opposite hand and foot. Stay long and low, keeping your weight evenly distributed on your hands and feet. And now we'll take a 30-second pause from crawling to hold a deep squat. While in your squat, remember to keep your chest up, breathe deeply, and add movement. Modify the depth and your stance to make the squat work for your body. If necessary, use props like a heel lift or holding onto a fixed object. Now plant your hands and go back into another 30-second round of crawling around your space. Stay low and long, remember to breathe, and vary your planes of motion, moving forwards, backwards, sideways, and rotationally. Now return to your deep squat for 30 seconds of active rest. Once again, try to avoid the struggle here and work with the version of the squat that feels best for your body today. Breathe deeply and add movement. That's time. Now flip over and we're going to move on to inverted crawling. You can jump right in with the standard crawl or start out with this push-pull slide variation. With the standard inverted crawl, breathe deeply, keep your arms locked out, and step with your opposite hand and foot. Now lower your hips to the floor, lie back, and transition into tucked rocking. For more core activation, create compression by pressing your fists into the tops of your knees and your knees back into your fists. Keep your core strongly braced to maintain a rounded spine and stay as compact as possible. Rock up and flow right into another round of inverted crawling, 30 seconds. Lower your hips, lie back, and flow into one last round of tucked rocking. All right, that's time. Great work. Now flip over onto your stomach and we'll finish up today's practice with some light stretching. Begin with a prone press or alternating lateral rolling reaches. Next, transition into a side sit position and hold for 30 seconds. Take a few moments to set up a strong, stable position and then begin adding movement, hinging, rotating, and reaching. Now switch your side sit to the other hip and continue on for another 30 seconds. Lastly, make your way back to a kneeling position, interlace your fingers behind your back and fold forward. Alternatively, you can try this prone shoulder flexion stretch. So that's going to bring us to the end of today's practice, and now I invite you to take a few extra minutes to keep exploring your movement and finding some flow. Whether you want some extra time to stretch and breathe or creatively explore your movements and flow, take this opportunity to give your body some more movement goodness. To explore movement outside of the box of exercise. Oftentimes we get stuck in rigid thinking that exercise has to look a certain way, that it has to feel hard, that it has to be all about intensity, and that's just not the case. Movement practices like this can bridge the gap between your everyday life and your fitness goals. If you've been away from fitness for a while, this is a great place to start. If you're actively training and working out hard, use these movement practices as a way to give back to your body. And as you create more freedom of movement, you're also going to find more freedom within your body. The ability to move with confidence in the real world. The ability to listen to your body and give back so that you can retain your strength and mobility and stay moving well for a lifetime. I want to encourage you to stay on this journey. Use the videos on this channel to keep moving and keep growing your practice. If you enjoyed this one, please show some love by hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. And if you want more, check out my training app and the other resources that I have available. The links are down below in the description. All right, that's it for me. I'm out of here. Thank you so much for coming through. Come back again soon. I'll see you in the next practice.